Hey, what's going on? I'm doing a recording. This is technically a live stream, but no one's been invited to check this out. So right now I have an audience of nobody. Um, and maybe a good thing. Um, we'll see. Um, I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about, so I kind of want to just jump into it. Um, I made a number of streams lately, that number being two. To Facebook, and those live streams, I invited an audience to come check it out. And I feel like two streams was enough for me to get some feedback, but also just get some experience, right? Like independently of what people told me, there were just things that I observed on my own. The number one thing I can talk about is that I have been for a while doing these kinds of streams right here where I stream but with no audience. I've been doing this for a while, and usually I stream to YouTube. Um, I'm using a piece of software that is fairly platform agnostic. So what I mean by that is that I can use the same software and I can either stream it to YouTube or stream it to Facebook. Um, that doesn't mean that there is no difference, right? So that's kind of my first point, is that streaming to Facebook had some differences, things that I just kind of still, even after having done two streams, I still haven't entirely figured out. It's just little idiosyncrasies, like just like where you find things, how you do things. Um, it's just like learning the interface and like learning how the software works. And to my knowledge, I don't know any really good way to get familiar with it outside of just doing it. Um, I've been doing YouTube for a while, but like unfortunately, YouTube just like keeps changing around their interface. So it seems as though they don't want anybody to ever get familiar with how YouTube works, which is great. Like the list of complaints that I have about YouTube, I could fill so many streams just bitching about YouTube. um, what I mean, I think the only reason that I do stream to YouTube like I am is because they're offering what amounts to basically limitless storage space. I can make these streams all day long, and it's not counting against any kind of quota or saying, you know, like you've maxed out your space. Um, if I were to just simply do a recording to like no particular software, just like make a recording file and then upload it to like just any web host, they're going to look at the size of the file and it's going to be counting against like a maximum storage space. And that perfectly makes sense. I mean, that's kind of like how it's kind of like how it would be like if you had like a memory card and you recorded, you filmed something, your memory card is going to kind of tally up what it's saving, you know, and your memory card is only so big. So for a lot of web hosting, what you're paying for is a storage space, not unlike like a memory card. But YouTube seems to not really care how much storage space is used for your videos. So for me, that's the selling point for YouTube. But in pretty much every other regard, YouTube is either like neutral or shitty, you know. But again, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. The point I was trying to make is that I'm still kind of learning Facebook. I'm still kind of figuring it out. And that was really, the fact that I'm figuring out was really prevalent in the last stream. And I want to get into that a little bit more later, but I just kind of want to keep going ahead. So yeah, 2 streams to Facebook, and I feel like those are public streams, by the way. When I do these on YouTube, I tend not to invite anyone. So there is no audience. It's just me. No one knows about it. You could come stumbling in if you had the link, if you knew to come looking for it, but no one knows about it. So I'm I have privacy by obscurity. Okay. But the 2 streams for Facebook, I try to hype them up a little bit with people like that follow me on Facebook and or my friends and family, really, because it's not it's talking about audiences and Facebook is a little bit weird, but anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, I put 2 streams on there, and I got people coming to it. And like I said, independent of feedback, there were a lot of things that I learned. And the first one that kind of popped out, it was just that, like, I need to get more familiar with how Facebook works. Another thing that popped out to me. What else popped out to me? Just it gave me more opportunity to dwell on what exactly I want this to look like. And I think that's because I got a lot of people asking me, like, what is this? And things like that. I'd rather not tell you what this is. I'd rather you just look at it and you see it. Like, it is what you see. What you see is what you get. But I'm painfully aware of the fact that I have to get to that point, right? Like, I'm in a period right now where I'm constructing what I want this channel to be. All right. So do not read the comments. This is just one more one more time that I try to explain it. And like I just finished saying, I don't want to keep explaining it. I want to just do it and you see it. But I really do want this to be kind of like a creator space. Like, if you think about a TV show and you think about like a soundstage, like a studio where they record it. Like, if you think about any movie where they kind of like pan the camera back or like pulled the camera back and you saw all the people sitting off stage, like there's a director and the camera people and like makeup and like all of that. Like, if you saw all of that, I feel like do not read the comments is kind of like that. Like, I want to turn the camera onto what creators do, right? So using that analogy, like a TV soundstage, like just seeing all of that production work, all of those people and all of those jobs and all of the functions that they perform. If you're talking about TV, it's many people doing many things. In movies, same kind of thing. So I feel like do not read the comments. I kind of want it to exist in a similar way to that. So in that spirit, I do want to turn the camera around, so to speak, and I want to share what's going on with my screen. Because there's a number of things that I have not yet done in preparation for this stream here. I've done a little bit, right? There was at least a good, 15 or 20 minutes that I had to spend messing around in software just to get to where we are now. There was no way for me to stream that because that would be like, I don't know, it's kind of like an eyeball looking at itself. Do you know what I mean? Like I couldn't show you how I start the stream because then I would have to start the stream that you would be looking at. Do you know what I mean? Like there's stuff that I just couldn't possibly share. But there was other things that I could have prepared before it went, and I just didn't, so that I can kind of do it now. So I'm going to try to start sharing the software that I'm working in right now. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen. We should be getting this like fun tunnel effect going down. And that's always fun. I enjoy that. And I wonder if you're getting any audio from my screen. If not, that's probably okay. But let's see what we got. Okay, so I'm working in Lightstream inside the Chrome browser on my Chromebook. Chromebook is a low-powered notebook. I've said this before on other streams, but I'm really interested in doing this with low-power tools, things that are like very available. I don't use anything that has like a 30-day free trial or something that's like, you know, free for a while but pay for it. I'm using all free tools, all things that like should be available to anybody, you know, even if your computer is a few years old. Because kind of using a Chromebook is kind of like that. It's like using an old computer. So in that way, I'm trying to really demonstrate things that I want to say anybody could do it, but you know, I know there's someone who has nothing, you know, but still trying as much as possible to lower that bar for entry. So we have Lightstream, and this is kind of like my control room for my stream. Another thing we got going on is we got YouTube, right? And I was fighting with YouTube quite a bit today. This is the screen that I have for streaming. This is the part that I've been kind of fighting with, is this preview, because I want to see the stream that I'm recording right now, because I want to know if and when I lose the connection. That was a problem for me in my last Facebook stream, was that I lost the connection. And worse yet is that I went for quite a while before I noticed it was disconnected. It was maybe 20-30 minutes, I'm not sure, before I noticed. There was a whole lot of technical problems going on in my last Facebook stream. So what I'm trying to do is I want to see myself streaming. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be delayed, but I want to kind of see if the stream is healthy. Because right now, at this point in time, I really have no idea. For all I know, I could just be sitting here in a room talking to myself. And let me tell you, when you realize that you're just in a room talking to yourself, like nothing's being recorded, your voice is just going nowhere. It's really humbling and embarrassing feeling. I don't like it. So I want to try to figure out, like, clearly this is not doing anything. This is supposed to be showing me the preview, but it's really not. So yeah, I need to figure out where do I need to go. Now, this could be because I'm trying to stream to my TV. So if I stop this, can I try this again? Okay, so there's my stupid face. That's good. Now I can see this. Now the problem would be, I only have like one physical screen, at least as far as computers go, but I have a TV right in front of me. If I were to make use of the TV could be my second screen. And there's a lot of ways that I could do that. I could put apps up on it or whatever. But when I put apps and stuff, it does like a mirroring thing. It means like whatever's on the Chromebook is also on the TV. I don't have the ability, at least at this point in time, to get the Chromebook and the TV acting like two separate screens, unless I am streaming a YouTube video to it. So this YouTube video we're looking at right now on this page, if I try to cast this, see the little thing that says play on TV. If I play this to the TV here, I'm watching to see what it does. Is it going to show my stupid face? It doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it wants to yet. Let's see. You can see the TV behind me, kind of, and it's just kind of doing some YouTube splash page. So, all right, let's try to. Where is a good place to? I'm so bad at this. But why? Why am I so terrible at this? Let's. My stupid head. Can I? There we go. Figuring this out. Did I get it? Did I get it that time? I think so. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, friends, I now finally, after a lot of messing around, I finally have the YouTube stream in front of me on my TV. And I recognize that this is going to be some extra bandwidth, both on my internet connection and on my local network. What I mean by that is if the stream wasn't going out to YouTube and then back in and to my Chromecast is attached to the TV. That's how that works. That's how I'm able to stream stuff to my TV, by the way. Because the video is going to bounce around, it's got to go out to the internet and back. It's using up internet bandwidth. And when I think about bandwidth, I don't think about like a total for the month like you do your cell phone. Like you're looking at what's the monthly total. I'm thinking about like just like moment by moment, like if it were like a doorway, like how many people can pass through it in a moment. So the fact that I'm streaming to my TV screen and it's going out the internet and back in, that's lowering potentially, but theoretically and more than likely in reality, how much quality or how much data I can send. How much data is going to be the same as how much quality. What it ultimately amounts to is I should expect that my picture looks worse, and possibly audio too. The video is potentially worse because I have this on a second screen, the way that I'm doing it. But I feel like that's kind of a necessary evil, because I'd rather have the quality a little bit lower, but at least I know that my stream is not interrupted. If I know that the stream is interrupted, I don't sit here and talk by myself for 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, so this is just one of the things that we got to do for a stream. Sorry, what you're not seeing off camera is me trying to kind of like massage my legs and my knees, because the way that I'm sitting isn't all that comfortable. Okay, so we got the YouTube stream on the TV. That's good. The next item of business is that I guess I'm going to introduce one of the things that I plan to do today. I have like a few things that I want to talk about. I mentioned already like the streams that I've done, and boy, stream of consciousness. The coffee I had is already wearing off. That's terrible. Anyway, I want to introduce I want to talk about the streams that I did to Facebook, and I've kind of like begun doing that. But I want to also introduce that I have a audio pen pal, and I just recently kind of talked her into letting me take our conversations public. That means that the conversations that we have back and forth, I can start to share them with you in this channel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to listen together to one of her recordings to me, which happens to be on the topic of my streams. So I can kind of all at once, I can reply to her, record her an audio file in reply to her, but also kind of give a chance to like do it here in this environment where you can kind of see how production works. And you also get a chance to yourself, if you ever wanted to hear me talk more about my channel. Here we go. I'm going to be doing the recording on this chintzy old phone. Sorry, I don't know if chintzy is like a word that is offensive to some group. It seems like all the words that I grew up using, I grow up and find out like they're all racist, sexist remarks that we didn't even know when we were kids, just hearing adults use words. But anyway, it's cheap, it's kind of crappy, but I can use it to record an audio file and send it to her, and that's what I'm going to be doing. You're just going to see me sitting here like doing like a voice memo, and that way I don't have to take any resources away from the computer, which is already using my camera and my microphone and like streaming stuff out to YouTube and bouncing around, and just takes a little bit off the computer. Plus, I might have a better microphone on here, which is sad to say because this is a crappy old phone and this is the computer. I need to invest in a microphone, like an external microphone, but that's neither here nor there. What I'd like to do before I record this reply, two things. I want to kind of queue up the recording that I had. I wish I knew how to share this because this is really obnoxious having these things over here. I only get two. I don't want to stop sharing, and I don't want to share this tab instead. I just want these notifications to go away, and I don't know how to get them to stop stealing my limited screen real estate. But nonetheless, this is the stream that we're talking about. And also, nope. Can we? Sorry. All right. Also, this is pCloud is the app that we use for passing these audio files back and forth. So what I want to do, I guess, I'm figuring this out as I go. I want to have the Facebook video nearby. If we end up talking about something in particular, I can kind of reference it. But then also like have her audio, and I want to like listen to it together here on stream. And the other thing that I'm going to need to do to make this work is I'm going to need to test if the audio from these tabs are making a sound, I guess we'll say. So let me try this. This is my plan. I'm going to start this playing. I'm going to turn up the audio, and we got some music playing. I think that's good. We just play like a little bit of that. Okay. And now I want to, I'm going to switch back here to YouTube. And I want to listen to the audio. And unfortunately, this is going to mean I listen to my stupid voice for a while. Good. I don't have to listen to any more of me. Okay. Unfortunately, that means that it didn't work. I'm kind of surprised that the feedback is so quick. That's great. But what's not great is that we don't have the tab audio. So let's look at what's going on. I know that over here in this other scene, we do have screen share audio, right? But why is it not on this one? Is it on this one? So confusing. All right. Let's just try something. Still not going to the audio. Well, that's weird. Okay. All right. I think that I must have done something in the past where I killed the audio in here. So I needed to take out the screen share and put it back in to get the screen share audio. Confusing. Just looking if this is okay. It's kind of clipping a little bit, but I don't think anything can be done about that. Oh, come on, stop. Kind of like to. Sorry, guys. All right, I think that's the best I can do for now. Okay. I don't know how much of that was shared yet. It looks it looks like that was kind of a okay. I think I just learned something. I'm gonna try my best to share what I've just learned. But first, I'm trying to get my video back up on my TV. Okay. All right. So we're looking at YouTube. Sure, you can stay there. Okay. What I found is, let's talk about Lightstream a little bit. At the bottom down here, we got full size screen, screen cam, cam only. These are the number of scenes that I have set up. And you can basically think of a scene it's these layers, and in here you kind of lay out exactly how it looks. So if you can see the tiny little text above this box with my camera, it says USB 2, blah, 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 webcam, right? And that kind of matches with what it says here. And then there's the browser screen, which is this one here. And although you can't see it, there's a screenshot in the background. You can see the words up there, screenshot. So you have these layers of what they are, and you pick what's on top and what are the dimensions of it and where do you put it on screen, and you just lay out exactly how the screen's going to look. You've also got these things down here, your audio mixer, right? So the microphone was there and screen share is there now, and that's what was missing. All right. What I've learned is like one of these scenes will be like present, not present, but like you're streaming it at any given time. Like right now, this full-size screen, it's not being used. And it won't be used until I push this send to live. But right now, if I select it, I can go in here and make changes and stuff. All right. What I'm learning is that if you make edits to the scene that you are currently using, even though you haven't pushed send to live yet, it can kind of interrupt what you're doing So like if I go and start changing the browser screen or changing something, even though I haven't pushed send to live, it can be interrupting what I'm doing. So what I really ought to be doing if I want to make an edit to the thing that I'm currently using, I'd probably be best off to duplicate it. I don't know where that duplication went. Over here in the end. All right. And then go over here to the duplicate and start making changes to this. And then when I'm ready, just switch from one to the other. I think that would probably be my best bet. Because I kind of learned that while I was in there making some changes to my current scene, I lost the screen share, so I couldn't show what I was doing. So, are you stuck now? I don't know. I'm trying to delete that extra scene, but it doesn't want to be deleted. Fine, we'll delete you later. That's just fine. All right. Okay, I don't know why I need to send this to live, but sure. Fair enough. Oh God, I'm just making a big mess, aren't I? I'm glad that I'm sharing this at least, so you can learn a little bit about what are some of my struggles, and if I think really importantly, if you're ever to do this, I want you to know what it's like, what's in store. There's tools you got to get used to using. There's mistakes that you're gonna make. There's a lot of trial and error, and I think that's a big part of why I want to do this whole do not read the comments thing, and why I want to turn the camera around and look at what is it like doing production. I want people to know that it's not easy always. I mean, I'm not saying it's always hard. I'm just saying it's not always easy. It's not always effortless. It's not always just like, I don't know, like Snapchat or something, pick it up, do it, put it down, it's done. You know, like some of the stuff does take some getting used to and figuring it out. And sometimes software doesn't work, and sometimes things are breaking, and you just kind of, you learn, you know, was that my fault or was that the software? And you learn, you know. But, you know, hopefully maybe some of my stuff will be lessons that you can learn from watching me, but I'm sure certain lessons you're gonna have to learn on your own. So I think the whole messing around in Lightstream was to get this screen share here. And what I want to do now is I want to try to listen in on the audio of my stream and see if I have like tab sounds again. So previously we did it by just kind of playing this. I think what I want to do is, because I have it streaming on TV and I don't want to interrupt the TV again, is I'm just going to stream and see if I have like tab sounds again. So previously we did it by just kind of, I don't know if you can hear the TV. Okay. Okay, I heard the TV. It means I can go back here. I can stop this. So let's get back to center. All right. I want to have the Facebook and the audio from my friend Kim. So let's get all that set up. Okay. And so what we're going to do now, I'm going to listen to her audio. I've listened to this already once, but I listened to this like a week or two ago. I don't know how long ago it's been, but whenever it was, I did the last stream, number 2 of 2. And I'm probably going to just try to listen to it, but I'm not going to try to listen to it uninterrupted. I am going to listen to a little bit, pause and reply. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because the way that we do recordings back and forth. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm thinking about this. You can see me. You can see me figuring this out as I go. I have a couple different ways I can do this. All right, I'm going to be recording my replies to her, but I don't want to stop and start it every few seconds. I think I could stop and start an audio recording a few times without it being like a real mess. But if I am stopping, starting the whole time that I'm recording to her, it's gonna be a real mess to listen to. So I don't remember how long her recording was, like 20-ish minutes. What I'm thinking about is if I talk through things prior to recording, am I gonna lose some things that I want to say to her, or is it a good chance for me to refine my thoughts, and so my recording is better? Kind of leaning in that direction. I'm kind of leaning in the way that when I say things the first time, the first draft, it tends to be the sloppiest. So if I can talk it out and then tell her again, I think that maybe the second draft is going to be a little better. So let's spend a little time, you and me, listening to her recording to me, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about what I hear before I figure out what I'm going to say to her. I think a little bit of preparation is a good thing. So let's just kind of jump into it. Okay, let's start making mistakes. All right.
Hello, Brian. All right. So after a long break, I'm picking back up the recorder and gonna let you know what I thought about this live stream that you did. I had some technical challenges getting into it at the start, but then it was also bedtime for my baby, so those powers combined made me jump in a little bit later than I think you started. I think I jumped in around about maybe 30, maybe 40 minutes in. I don't recall, but not at the start. So my comments are with regard to the portion that I was a part of or watching. So I jumped in around about the time that you were talking about Super NES, and that was awesome because I love Super NES and just a really awesome game system. And TJ actually, I tried to pull Matt and TJ in, as well as one of my other friends, Dave, because we're all old school nerds who love a good old, Super NES game. And TJ had actually created, downloaded, provided, I don't know what you want to call it, like a game, Super NES game emulator, maybe is what it's called. I don't know the details of it. All I know is you'd plug it into your computer and then you could play things on your computer. Beyond that, I really don't know the details. But it was really cool because there were a lot of games, a lot of Super NES games. And so I just thought that was kind of neat, and that was during a time where, you know, I was on the computer a lot, so it was very effective. Now, what you were showing was interesting because it kind of looked like the back end or the behind the scenes of how to, well, if I'm understanding it correctly, you were playing on a web browser. So I missed how you got there, or if you need a specific browser, if you need to download something. Like, I missed how you got there, but you were there. And then I think you were setting the controls at the time that I was looking at it. So it was interesting because it was kind of like a behind the scenes look of how you do that. But then also what I was thinking of is, like, for the emulator, they did that too, where you could, jump as A, punch as B, or, something like that. Tuck and roll as who knows what. And, so that was kind of interesting to see what that looked like on that platform. And I was excited because I was like, oh my god, he's gonna show us how to play. And then I was like, can we all play? And then that didn't happen. So then I was like, meh. But it was exciting because it was nice to see the old school game again. So, and I rocked the world with Super Mario Brothers, like Super Mario World. That was my game, mainly because we didn't really have a lot of money for a lot of games, so that I just played until it, probably lit fire or something. I don't know, but yeah, overall pretty exciting stuff. Then you switched and you started talking about the music side of things, and that was interesting from the perspective. Oh, wait. Before that, you jumped into. Oh, you were showing some games that you purchased in Japan from perhaps a store or something like that, because they were in a plastic package and everything. So that was interesting from the perspective. Like, I always approach something like, hey, that's really cool. That's what it looks like, a product purchased in Japan. But, like, that's how I was nerding it out. So that was the angle that I was approaching it, and I thought that was pretty cool to see what it looked like. Then, when you pulled up the information about the music, I don't know that I was really interested in the music specifically, but I was interested to see the different websites and what they look like, because it looks like completely different. And I wonder, when you jump on the internet, well, I guess I'm going based on my experience. When you jump on the internet in different countries, like, it pulls up a different home screen. They've got different keyboards. In Latin American countries, for example, Spanish or Portuguese, or whatever country you're in, the specific language that corresponds to that, they're going to have the keyboard at least set up in a way that allows for that language to be typed out. So, I wonder, now I know that you had mentioned that Japanese is a little bit trickier, and I know that's the case, and so the computer, so I guess I just don't know how the computer keyboard is set up, but again, that's not what you were talking about, but that's where my mind took me when I was seeing the websites. So there's that. Yeah. And so I think I was more, and I tried pulling Matt in, and I think he said he was still working at the time, but he was checking it out. Excuse me. And yeah, I thought TJ would be, TJ was at the gym, so he just got done being, I don't know, healthy and everything like that, working out. And I think he jumped on maybe once, maybe twice, but I was thinking that it'd be really cool to get his perspective on it, seeing how he had done the emulator thing. And there was one other friend that I tried pulling in, Denny, He also, I think he also knew how to, excuse me, oh gosh, I'm ready for bed. He either knew how to, or I don't know, something with emulators as well. I don't know. Again, I don't know too much about that, but I thought that that would be a good connection because he had that in his background as well. Okay, so when I was talking with Matt and I was talking with TJ, and even Denny, I was chatting with him for a quick second. I was like saying, "Hey, Super NES stuff," and they got all excited and everything. Um, and they were saying like, "Oh, are you playing?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm not playing, but we're watching. It's a live stream, whatever." Got pretty excited about it. And during that conversation, they were saying, "Oh, what would be really cool is if we could all play, and then like do a live stream of us all playing." Is that possible? I don't even know, but it'd be kind of cool to see a bunch of old folks going old school on it. And maybe that's not even like what your stream would be about, but like, I don't know, that's at least what we were chatting about. um yeah, I mean, I'll give you whatever feedback I've got. Give me specific questions and give me like what do you want to accomplish with this live stream? I mean, it says like do not read comments or something, so I'm assuming excuse me, I'm assuming that's twofold perhaps, because you don't read the comments all the time, like you don't have it pulled up and like constantly reading, but then also, I mean, because you're doing stuff, but then also perhaps because if you tell somebody don't do something, then they're gonna do it. I don't know. Just my thoughts on that. And so maybe that would be an incentive for somebody to start clicking on the comments. And then I guess I was interested to know how it works from the recording side. But again, this is all like, I don't know if this is like streaming content. Maybe it's just the way my mind works. But, I was interested to know, how does it pull up on your screen? Is it like a WebEx when you're recording? And I mean, just recording you on the camera and then what you're doing on your desktop screen. Or is it like, how does that all work? And how do you log in? Things like that. Yeah, but like, it depends what your target audience is going to be. Like, one thing that I've noticed and come to a realization of over the however long I've been alive on this earth, 20 years, I joke, but is that I'm not the best representative of how trendy people want to do things, see things, learn about things, whatever. Like, I just don't represent what the majority of people want. So I'm probably like, and I'm okay with that. But that to me means that I can provide you with my insight, but don't go thinking that that is what people want, because it's probably not. Unless there's some small, weird niche of people out there in this world that have this kind of like interest in things that I do. Because if you find those people, you let me know. All right. Well, I haven't found too many. A couple people here and there, but all right. So, yeah, I mean, I know what we talked about in the previous.
I'm pausing Kim's recording because, okay, we're about 10 minutes in, and I've been mentally trying to bookmark so many things that she's talked about that I want to reply to. And I'm kind of like feeling like when you go to the grocery store and you didn't get a basket and you're like, oh, I'm just going to get a few things. And then like the next thing you know, like you've got all this stuff. That's how I'm feeling right now. Is like, oh man, I've got so many things to carry. So I kind of want to like pause. I'm about 10 minutes and I think maybe I'm like halfway through this ish. But I want to pause and like reflect on things that she said. I can already feel like I'm dropping some of the ideas. I think I just dropped some. She talked about like, what does it look like when you stream? I'm like, oh, well, I'm thinking like funny that you should ask that, because I've been recording this stream to YouTube where you can see my software and see like how I'm doing. So I'm going to have to give Kim a link to the stream so she can see some of that. But what was the very last thing that she was talking about? I don't know if I can go backwards in this, and that's annoying, because this just skips to the next track back. I don't want that. Shit, what was she just saying? God, getting old sucks. Also trying to carry too many things in your head sucks. I can remember all the stuff she talked about with the Super Nintendo, and we're going to be sure to talk about that and all the other topics that we talked about. Oh, she was talking about, yeah, I got it back. She was talking about her interests and, you know, like what things she's interested in and she's not interested in the typical stuff. And I started thinking about a YouTube video that I watched recently. Does the average person exist? And I want to discuss this with her because I love this guy's channel. Matt, what's his last name? You got a name? Where is it? You got a name, where is it? Matt. Matt. Come on, Matt Parker. Matt Parker. Yeah, I love Matt Parker stuff. He's funny, he's brilliant. He makes math mistakes just like I do. But I really, really, really love this guy's content, and I have for a while. But he did a segment that relates to a book that he's releasing, and I'll have to make sure to look for that book. But what he's talking about is like, does the average person exist? And the takeaway from this is, if you take people and you measure a bunch of different parameters and then average every one of those parameters, can you find one individual person that has the same parameters? Okay. So in this case, let's say your height and your weight and like your eye color and your hair color or whatever, you know, can you take all these parameters, take it from a population, get the average? What's the average hair color, average eye color, average height, average weight? Get the average of every one of those individual parameters, and then go find the one person, or how many people have all of those. I have the average hair, I have the average eye color, I have the average height, I have the average weight. And what they find out is, as they do more parameters, the average person doesn't exist, basically, because they're just averages. But everybody in some way is unaverage, right? And the more parameters, the more likely it's going to be. The more parameters you measure, the more likely that they're going to measure parameters that you are unaverage in. So yeah, I think that tells us all that, like, the tendencies we see of big corporations or governments or any big organizations that try to take a one-size-fits-all approach to a population. It could even be things like marketing campaigns. That's usually where I think you're going to see it, because they'll look and go like, oh, more people like this, or, you know, the majority of people like that, you know, whatever. You end up alienating people, because as you make this archetype, you create this archetype of what a person's like. As you as you add more details to what this archetype is like, there's less people that fit the archetype. There's more people left on the outside looking in. And I think that at the turn of the century, this was an idea that was really becoming big. And it was becoming big at the time that Amazon was becoming big. Amazon was making a lot of money selling books that bookstores and like department stores and shit didn't want to sell. And it's ironic because Amazon was kind of like the, I don't know, like the hero. I don't know how to say it. Like, I don't know if I want to say under, I don't know how I want to say it, but like from an age, like the turn of the century .com, so many .coms really had no substance, right? They had very little substance. They collected venture capital and did nothing with it. And the whole economy around the internet nearly collapsed entirely, but there was a bubble that burst. There was the .com bubble that burst of 2000. And later it was businesses like Amazon that kind of restored faith in the internet, because they really had a real business model more than just collecting venture capital. And Amazon did really focus on this like long tail theory that like the collection of all these unpopular things can exceed the volume of the popular things, right? And they figured out how to do it smartly, without it being just like, they figured out how to scale it up, like how to like actually how to do it effectively and efficiently. And it's weird because now I feel like we're getting into an age where people are using the internet to model demographics and basically model back to what is the average. Like I feel like that's what people want to use analytics for, like what's the average is that and average that. And we're just gonna like, by pursuing down this path of like, like what's the average demographic, like what's the typical person. I don't know how long it's going to take people in business, that is, to once again realize that like the long tail and not a one size fits all approach is what we ought to be doing. But I don't know how to take that whole spiel and make that quick for a audio recording to her. But that was kind of a thing that came to my mind when she was talking about what things she likes and doesn't like. Let's get back to this recording.
Previous, recordings and everything like that, you being interested in, a couple different topics and just a couple different things, but I wonder, has it changed? Is it more specific? Just go into details like that. All right, well, I'm gonna end the recording on that note.
That was right there at the end.
Yeah, I wonder if are you interested in getting interaction or not so much?
Good question.
Like pulling the audience members in and getting, I don't know, just getting audience participation. That to me, like live streams, like why have it live if you aren't pulling people in that are on? Because they can stay for a quick second. Like, here's what I was thinking. Back when I was doing the, workforce management side of things, if I had like a live stream like you were doing for the client and like all the people, the 1,001 people that had questions for me, that would be a great venue to do that. And like, I know this probably isn't, you're probably like, Kim, you're completely off topic, but this is how I think, and this is what my brain went to, was that if I had a live stream, you set quote unquote office hours, and those office hours just say would be between, I don't know, 1 and 3, okay, for example. So that means that I'd be doing the live stream for that duration of time, and all the different clients could hop on to the live stream, ask their questions, I could show them their answers, and then go from there. And I could even set up blocks of time when I'd be doing, like, showing a demonstration of this is how you do whatever, and 100 different people have that same question. Log on exactly at 1:15, things like that. Yeah. That's just where my brain goes. It's probably not as fun and exciting as what most people would want to see, but I see a lot of application to that in today's, I guess, corporate America challenges that people face. Like, especially when there's 1,001 different people trying to ask the same question, and they all think that it's unique, and it's not. Just to pull the Band-Aid off of that. Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna end this, and let me know what you think.
So let me quick reply to her while this is fresh in my head, because the last thing she said was like so spot on. Hey Cam, I am finally getting a recording back to you. I don't know how long it's been, how long I've kept you waiting. I know there's been a few recordings since I've replied. So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to reply to the feedback about my live stream, but I do also want to quickly talk about some of the other things we've talked about more recently. So just, I know that you remember these events, but I'm just kind of like recapping so you know what I'm replying to. But with regards to taking our conversations and like including Matt in those conversations, and then also like my request to take this public, I wanted to talk a little bit about, kind of like what I had in mind and what I'm doing. So as I'm recording this to you, I'm also in the middle of a live stream with nobody watching. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. But that's kind of why I wanted to kind of get your permission to use some of our recordings publicly, because I wanted to use them in like kind of various different ways. And I just want to make sure that, that's okay, that I got your permission, your permission to do that. And I'm going to share the link with you later because you might be interested in kind of what's going on in the background. In fact, in your recording, your live stream feedback, you did ask about how does all this work? Like how, how are you doing live stream? Is it like a WebEx, etc.? And for you, then the recording I'm making right now is perfect for you because the first, I don't know how many minutes, I'm messing around in the software and you can see my screen and what software I'm using and how I'm getting things set up. It may prompt more questions. You might like get some answers, but get more questions from me. But by all means, like feel free to continue that. Like I was looking at you doing this, but what is this and what is that? And like, feel free to keep pulling out those threads if you want. And ask me about it, whatever. But yeah, I want to let you know that kind of in that regard about like how does it work behind the scenes. That's some stuff that I'm already recording at this moment, and it's going to be available for you to take a look. So I love that you asked that, because in the absence of questions like that, then I feel like, who am I doing this for? But I'm doing it for you, apparently. And what else? I want to think about all the questions I want to answer. I guess let's get back to like doing this stuff publicly, because okay, you kind of asked in your stream, like, like, what is it that you're doing? And I think that it's perfectly acceptable to ask, like, what are you doing? Because in all honesty, what I've been doing lately is just kind of experimenting, right? Like, let's try this and let's try that. And when I did my first stream, I got a lot of people who were interested in it. I got a lot of feedback from the first stream, and people who popped in the chat and said hi, and like people later, like commented me and stuff. Like, it was a really good response from the first stream that I got, and that really got me excited. And it really got me, I guess, it really got me thinking that I was like briefly on this wave, and I wanted to see how long I could ride this wave, like I'm surfing. And I knew that it wasn't going to last, but I wanted to see how long it could take me. And I really felt like I went into the second stream having prepared, like I wanted to just kind of show off some things that were easy to show and tell, and possibly get some responses and see who's interested. And there were a few more things I could have brought out. Like, I could have brought out like photos and videos of like some things in Japan, but that does also kind of feel a little bit too much, like when you have house guests and you subject them to like a slideshow or photo albums or whatever. So I opted not to do that. But like, I brought out what I thought would be some of like the more interesting things. And in your case, like, you really responded to the Super Nintendo stuff, including like when I just like brought out like the cartridges and stuff like that. But I also like brought out like music and some different things, and all of it was just kind of in service of just kind of like, can I bring out something and see if I get some response? So because I'm kind of like doing this like kind of haphazard, messy show and tell, it really kind of makes the identity of what I'm doing really hard to tell. And I can see that. I can see when you look at this, you're like, what is this actually? And it's like, yeah, it's because what it is right now is kind of a process of me figuring out what this is. And also it was me a little bit kind of trying to do what is it called? Fan service. Fan service is a word that's sometimes used like for when a movie or TV show throws in some reference or does something that they know that the viewers care about. So in my case, I was trying a little bit too hard to be like, hey, maybe this is something that you like, instead of just like, here, this is what I'm out to do. And I don't really know. I mean, I really haven't branded this real strongly. I haven't really advertised this real strongly. So I do kind of feel like this is pretty underground. I'm only showing this to my Facebook friends and family. And I feel like this is the time to experiment. And later, when I'm really trying to promote this, when I'm like taking this outside of like my friends and, really trying to go out there, by that time I should really have like a strong identity of what I am. But right now it's just been kind of experimental. But I'm rambling. So yeah, what I wanted to say is that as I do more of these, it is going to become like kind of like more straight and direct and kind of like what it is that I'm out to do. I do still want to like add some more stuff before I go too far, because the whole audience interaction thing, you mentioned it, and um, I I had my own technical issues with the Facebook stream because I couldn't see the people watching, couldn't see like the comments and stuff. I had somehow gotten into a different screen where I could see my video, uh, but I just really I wasn't in touch with the people that were watching. Um, when I could go back and see that later, I have very like mixed feedback or mixed analytics. I don't know what you want to call it, like mixed data about who is watching. If I go onto my Facebook page, like the do not read the comments page, and I look at the analytics, it does look like a bunch of people were watching, and I can't recall if it was more than the first stream that I had, but there's numbers, right? But like, I don't know how much Facebook inflates those numbers, how they come up with those numbers, because what I can tell you as far as like what I saw, like audience interactions, there was a lot less. Like pretty much you were the only person that I saw leaving comments on the second stream. Whereas the first stream, if you were to go back to it, there's all these different people who've popped in and like left a comment, you know. Again, I don't know if that do not read the comments thing plays into it. You mentioned, like it would have like a reverse psychology effect. Like you tell people don't read the comments and then they do. But if my second stream was any indication, you're the only person leaving comments. I'm inclined to think that like my story of how all this shook down is that I think less people engaged with the second stream than the first stream, just because of like the kind of things that I could observe as far as like interactions, like people messaging me on the side or commenting or whatever. There was a whole lot more of that in the first one. And the second one, basically you were the only person reaching out to me. And any numbers, any analytical numbers that Facebook shows me on my page is like, oh, you got this many viewers or this many interactions or whatever. I'm really just more or less ignoring that, because I don't know how they come up with those numbers. They don't give a story behind them. And so in the absence of that story, I don't know how they could be inflating that. If someone accidentally clicks on it or scrolls over and watches like 3 seconds with the sound off, I don't know where they get those numbers, but like I'm just gonna kind of ignore it. And basically what I'm getting at is that like you were definitely engaged. You watched it, you gave me a lot of feedback on it, but there weren't a lot of other people. And that wave that that I thought that I was still riding, that was going to disappear any moment, it was actually had already disappeared before I knew it. Like I think the wave started and ended with the first stream, and by the second one it was already over. It was over before it began. So if a person was to go back and watch my second stream, I think you're going to notice is a lot of times where I'm like, let's check in the comments, let's see what people are saying, and then this like look on my face like there's nobody commenting, there's nobody watching, what's going on, and trying desperately to fill the air because I've already committed to doing this, but also kind of feeling like nobody's watching, where is everybody? I kind of made it with the intent that there was going to be like more of this live interaction. And I don't know if I was realizing it in the moment or if it came to me later, but like I knew in advance that I didn't want to make content that way. I knew that part of my do not read the comments thing was that There's a lot of live streamers out there who have a huge audience, and they can sit there and just watch the chat, and they can spend a lot of time watching the chat in real time and replying to people, and that can fill up a lot of airspace. But I know that, like, I don't really find that the most interesting thing. Like, I don't really find it interesting to watch a streamer who's just sitting there reading the chat and replying to it. It's more interesting when they just do something, and the chat is chatting away, but they're not looking at it for long periods of time. You might be interested in checking out a guy named Carl Sagan 42. Carl Sagan 42. I'm going to put down my phone, and hopefully you can still hear me. Carl Sagan 42 is a streamer that kind of prompted me, not prompted, he didn't talk to me, right? This just inspired me. He inspired me to kind of like do what I'm doing, because I really like watched a lot of stuff and like really enjoyed it. But honestly, I usually watch him on YouTube, but he streams to Twitch. Twitch, I think we talked about this a little bit. I asked you if you knew about Twitch, and you asked if that was a drug. Twitch is a platform for people who do streaming, kind of like the thing that I did. In fact, when you asked about like, could you watch like people playing Mario, or would you like to watch that? You would absolutely love Carl Sagan because he does a lot of Mario Maker. Mario Maker is a game on the Switch where people make their own levels. Kim, I highly recommend you check out Carl Sagan 42 because, like, I think you're really gonna like him. He's a scientist. He makes what does he do? He like his lab genetically engineers plants to produce vaccines. Like the plants become vaccine factories. So that's his day job, being like an awesome scientist. And then he comes home and plays Mario and streams it. Like, this guy might be like, he might be your future husband. I don't know. But check him out and get an idea for streams. And the other thing I recommend too is if you got the time, check him out on YouTube versus checking him out on Twitch. And I think what you'll see is if you watch Twitch, like he'll stream for like, 3 or 4 hours or whatever it is. And there's a lot of downtime. You know what I mean? Like, he might walk away from the camera for a while, or he might be like messing around with some technical issue. There's a lot of downtime on Twitch, and that's kind of just like the nature of Twitch and the nature of live streams, is that it seems like it doesn't try to be on all the time. Like, doesn't try to be like entertaining every moment. Like, there is a lot of downtime. But the YouTube channel is all like edited down. I think sometimes a YouTube video could be a few different individual streams, like a few different days, or it might just be one stream but just edited down. But you might take like a 3 or 4 they take like a 3 or 4 hour stream and might edit it down to like 45 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. And they might add some stuff like some video effects or like text over it, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to say it, but like if something happens and like he's like, no, they might like add some video effect where it goes like black and white or zooms in on his mouth, or you know what I mean? Like something to like make it more entertaining, like some video editing stuff that wasn't in the original stream. You know what I mean? Like the original stream was just like a fixed camera, but like now when you watch on YouTube, it's zooming in on this part or that part, or it's like editing. It's interesting editing. And in my opinion, I find the YouTube channel to be like a lot more viewable than the live stream is. Some of my ambitions for my streaming is that I do something in that same vein where I just set up the camera, the live stream, and I just go. I just go for like hours, 2 to 3, 4, 5 hours, and I'm just gonna do my thing. And then what I like to do later is if there was anything during that stream that I thought was very interesting, then I'd like to go and find some way to edit it down. In the case of Carl Sagan, they're editing down to like a 45-minute video or something. I might even be able to just take out like a screenshot, like a still image, or maybe like a 3 or 5 second animated GIF, like a quick little thing. I don't know. Like, it might be very, very edited down when I do stuff. But I want to have a raw version of what I do. Like, here it is in its rawest format. You know what I mean? And then here it is, like I cherry picked what are the good parts out of this, and then try to share those things later. I guess that's kind of part of my grand evil master plan about what I'm doing. I do think that checking out Carl Sagan would be great for you, but checking out any Twitch streamers would be good. There's another Twitch streamer, and I'm trying so hard to remember her name. I'm gonna Google it. I can't think of her name right now, Cam. Oh. Suze Hinton. I couldn't remember it because it's like a weird name. And sorry to Suze Hinton. I'm not trying to diss your name. But it's unfamiliar. That's what I tried to say. It's an unfamiliar name. Anyway, Suze Hinton. I think I'm trying to think if there's any name out there that has more recognition for live development. She's not like a PewDiePie or just like huge name, but I think that she has, for whatever reason, gotten more recognition than anyone I know as far as like doing live development. And not a lot of people are doing live development. So like it's like being a small fish in a microscopic pond. But my point is that if you wanted to look at someone who's doing something a little bit closer to what I want to try to do, Suze Hinton is doing live development. That means like she writes code and tests it out and stuff in a live stream. Just basically working with people watching her, which would be a lot more closer to what you talked about with the WebEx stuff with your experience on there. I think both of them, if you watch Carl Sagan 42 or you watch Suze Hinton, I think you're going to see both of them interact with their audience a lot. And I do think that can be good. But I want to think about how I do it. I think that I try to keep an eye on the chat and interact with the chat a lot more, just kind of like in real time, the way some of these streamers do it. And I did that with kind of this anticipation or expectation that there were going to be a lot of people watching. And it didn't turn out that way. I mean, granted, you were watching, and I think I was sometimes seeing your messages and sometimes not. But I need to have content even when people aren't watching. Like nobody's tuning in. No, how do I say this? I can't understand why anyone would want to tune in to watch me just sitting there looking at the comments and like just replying. You know what I mean? For like me to just reflexively be responding to the chat, because now the chat or the comments is the leader. It's driving the video, driving the content. And that's not what I want at all. Like that's kind of part of the do not read the comments, is that when I turn on the stream, it's not going to just be 3 hours of me watching the chat, watching the comments, looking for things to reply to. I really need to have my own things to talk about independently of what's going on with that. Now, having said that, number one, I don't want to like just flatly ignore what's going on. Like the do not read the comments is kind of a blunt, it's a blunt phrase or a blunt thing to say. And in reality, like my philosophy is a lot more nuanced than that. So I don't want to just strictly not read any feedback, not read any comments. I just don't want it to be, I don't want it to be the core of what I do. You know what I mean? Like I have to have a core of what it is that I'm doing. And it was obvious to me that there's, at least in that second stream, I was really, my core was not showing, like my true, like the direction that I'm going was not coming out. It was not coming through. So I need to go back and work on that. And that's why I think I said to you and Matt that like, I want to do more of these streams without an audience. So I can kind of take some of what I've learned and like just kind of work on that on my own. You know what I mean? I've learned a lot, and like now it's time for me to like kind of go back into the workshop and apply what I've learned, you know? So, I feel like I had a thought there. Like I was working towards something and I lost track, or I lost the scent. Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, I said that I don't want to obsessively watch the comments, and I don't want that to be what drives the content. Like I have to have like some core content, and then like comments and stuff can kind of like fill in some pieces or be like a modifier, but ultimately like I have to have my own content, right, at my core, right? But that doesn't mean that I can't include other people. And frankly, I think that I do want to in the future have guests. I think it'd be really great, you know, to have like live interviews. Of course, that means we're going to like figure out schedules, because most of the people I know are in the US. So I'll have to figure out our schedules. It'll be, you know, nighttime there and morning here. We'll have to figure all that out. Or I might just have to like interview some people in Japan, and that pool of people is smaller, but you know, I might have someone who's interested. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I think if I could like have some guests, I think that would be fun to do. I'd want to plan that a little bit, not script it, but like plan it a little bit, like how I want to do that. But yeah, I think definitely like having some guests would be really nice, really something I'd like to do. And then other than that, I think I'm just going to look for ways, look for how the feedback's going to all fit in. Because I think some streams might have like a big turnout in real time, but I think other stuff could have feedback or turnout later on, like even after the camera's been turned off and like a day later or something like that. So I kind of would like to, I don't know, figure out ways that feedback can be valuable and I can get feedback even after the stream is over. But yeah, I just have to find the right balance. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. But let's talk about like doing some of this stuff publicly, right? Like the whole conversation about why I said I would like to have our conversations publicly. Um, you mentioned something, you mentioned a lot of things in your recording that resonated with me. But a few of the things that you were saying, like right at the very end, were resonating with me the most, because what you talked about was just having like some office hours. I think you used the words office hours. And this is where I am, and you can come find me. And that's really like, it's really like hitting the target as far as like what I want to do with this, right? Um, I want to, I want to eventually be able to turn on the camera, and I might have like an inbox or somewhere where I'm collecting responses from people. Or another thing I'm doing is going onto user groups, and these could be like public forums, right? Like they're not my forum, my inbox. They're just like where people are talking publicly, and I go in there and I communicate with people. I did some of this on my first stream, and I don't know if you watched my first stream. I'm guessing not, but it's okay. I forgive you. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't forgive you, Kim. I'm kidding. I do forgive you. I'm kidding. I haven't decided. Okay. Anyway, my first stream, I went in, kind of looked at some public forums and questions in there and stuff, and I think I actually like responded on stream. I think so. Yeah, I think I like read a question and replied and stuff. And I since then I've like picked out more that I want to like work on. And yeah, there's definitely a parallel there between like a public forum and like us taking some of our conversations public, because I guess of like the whole public, how do I say this without just repeating the same 3 or 4 words over and over again? There's like an essence or like an idea there. Like with a public forum, people can have this conversation publicly, and some people will participate in it and other people are just going to observe it, but it ends up having a lot of like utility or function or usefulness for a lot of people because it's held publicly. And I think where this can be the most clear, where the most evident, is when it's kind of like computer support kind of things. You know what I mean? So think of any time that you were having some trouble with with a technical problem. Like why can't I open this attachment, or what does this error mean, or something like that. If you've ever Googled that, some of the replies or some of the search results that you're going to get from Google or something like that are probably going to be public forums where someone publicly posted a question to a group of people. They said, I'm getting this error. What does this mean? And people just start publicly replying to that and say, it means blah, 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 or try this, or have you tried that, or da, 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 da. But they're going through this like problem and doing it publicly. And oftentimes that stuff will last for years. Like I will Google a question that I have, like a technical question, and I'll see conversations from 2014, 2012, 2009. And like, I'm old, so like I can remember when those dates sounded current. Like some people that has always been history to them. But like I start doing the math, like, holy shit, 2009, that's like 11 years old, but people are still doing searches and still getting those conversations in their search results and stuff. And these things, they last, right? So it's not like my intent to make some kind of like time capsule, right? But I'm trying to point out like the utility in doing some of the things publicly, right? There's another conversation to be had about open source and how that is a public thing, and like how people get involved in that. And like, I think that's like a big topic for another time, because there's similarities between like an open conversation, but there's also differences. Because this is one is a discussion, and another is like a piece of software that you proliferate, and it gets it can become like a big discussion. But I mean, I guess what I wanted to point is another example of people working together publicly. And my channel isn't necessarily trying to build up a big community in the same way like open source might. But in some ways, I do want to gather some community. I want to talk about things that are interesting to other people, and I do want to be open to the idea that a conversation that you and I have might strike a chord with someone else, and it might be pieces that strike a chord, but like who knows which pieces might be the pieces that resonate with somebody. You mentioned something about like your interests are, like not really that average, but there was a YouTube video that I watched recently. Matt Parker has a video called Does the Average Person Exist? His YouTube channel is called Stand Up Maths. Because is he Australian or is he British? I think he's British. I can't ever tell. And the Brits, they say maths, plural, not singular like us Yanks. Anyway, Stand Up Maths, Does the Average Person Exist? And even if you're not really that good at math, I thought it's a good explainer about how we're all really not average when you get down to it. I'm really kind of into the whole like, I just want to try different things and see what do different people respond to. I don't want to have like one mainstream center, this appeals to everybody kind of thing. More like I want to try different things and just see what things hook people. And if something is hooking people, I want to pick out just that little piece and try to make it go further, like shoot it off like a seed. You know what I mean? So if I do a 3-hour recording, but one little bit like seems like some people might like it, well then like maybe I can pick out just that little bit and find some way, like in a short video or short meme or something, get it out there and get more people watching my stuff. And then I guess this is like a blunt transition, right? But with all this public stuff that I'm doing and talking about doing, like conversations and like replying to like these public groups, I want there to be like some work behind it, like some software development, things that I'm doing, things that take like some of like talents and skills that I've built up over the years. Ultimately, when I start looking to make some money from this, basically I want to build my business around people who come to me with requests and want to jump ahead in line as far as like what priority I work on things, and B, do things privately. Basically, you pay me to turn the camera off. You know what I mean? I imagine a day that comes where like I have like a routine for doing my streams, and I might check in on this user group and see what messages there are and like reply to a handful of them. And I might check like an inbox, like an email inbox, and see what replies there are and which ones are replied to. And I imagine a day like where like
I have
where I have more things to talk about than I want to talk about. Or to say another word, like I want to get to a point where I kind of cherry pick. It's already the case with the public forums, right? Like I go into a public forum and I skip over a bunch of stuff that I don't want to talk about. You know, I don't treat it like I have to reply to everybody in the forum. You know what I mean? I just look at what are people talking about, like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Let me reply to that guy. Oh, that's interesting, but I'm just going to read it, you know, whatever. But when it comes to my inbox, I picture a day where there might just be like a bunch of things coming into my inbox, and maybe only just like a handful of them are interesting enough that I want to respond to them or do it on stream or whatever. But there might, like when I do reply, if I do like go into it, like I'm going to do it on stream and it's going to be there for the benefit of everybody to see, but it's public, right? There might be someone who comes to me and is like, yeah, I want you to do this thing, this or that, but this is for my company's work. So like, I don't want to share all this stuff. This is like private stuff. It's gonna be like, okay, well, you've seen my stream, you know what I'm capable of. I can do this, but like, I don't turn off the camera for free, or I don't just do this stuff on the side for free. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can get what I do on stream, but if you want it done privately, then we need to talk about my fees, you know? So that's kind of how I imagine it. In simple terms, it's like, you pay me for privacy. You pay me to do what it is that I do privately, or to talk to you individually or whatever. It's like, you can always, anybody at all can send me an email, and if I like it, if I'm interested in it, you know, I'll do it on stream. But it's like, if you want to like take it away from my show or my stream and do it like individually, you and me having like a one-on-one, cameras off kind of thing, then the meter's running basically, you know? So that's kind of been my my idea for like a business model. And that way the stream constantly is acting like as an advertising for what I do, and also to kind of, I don't know if I want to say communicate, but it is kind of communicating. It is just demonstrating, you know, like what skills I have, or, you know, what it is I do. You will see exactly what you're getting. It's like what you see is what you get, you know. I want that kind of transparency and that kind of like look into me. I don't want to have to try to describe to people, you know, like, like you have asked, and lots of other people have asked, like, what are you doing? What is it you want to do? I don't like trying to describe it. Like, I'd rather just show it. Like, I'd rather just like show what it is. And I know that the trouble with this point in time, like where I'm at with the stream right now, is that it's not where I want to be. It's in the process of building that up, right? So I can't just show you because it's not just there yet. I kind of have to like say, well, this is going to go here and that's going to go there. Just try to picture it, but it's hard to describe. And I don't always want to describe it. I'd rather just say, here, let me show you. So I do want to, like, a takeaway that I have, like a lesson that I've learned is, some of the stuff that I did where I'm like talking about music and video games and some of that stuff. Of course, those are things I care about and things I want to do if I can fit it in at some point. But but it was really shoehorned in. I felt, and some of the stuff that I really want to showcase, that I really want my stream to be about, I felt like I was kind of avoiding it, or I didn't avoid it, but like I just kind of was like reluctant. I was reluctant to put it center stage because I thought these other things were going to be more well received. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some work I want to do after I'm done recording this. Some work in a spreadsheet, and like spreadsheets are my jam. When I did that second recording, the one that you watched, like it was like after you went to bed, I brought out some spreadsheets and started to explain them, and then the connection broke out. Like, I don't know how, but like it's just this stream stopped working and I had to turn it off. But I mean, it was like over an hour of streaming, maybe close to like an hour and a half, 90 minutes before I broke out my first spreadsheet. I started with all this other stuff. Whereas like in reality, I probably should be starting with some of that more like nerdy, geeky stuff. It's not even just nerdy. It's just, it's like work stuff. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people don't want to watch that at the end of the day. Like watching somebody do a spreadsheet. It's like homework and math and everything we hate, you know? I'm going to kind of like find my confidence to like do more of that stuff. And I think that some of that helps that I'm not reading the comments, you know, that I'm doing this stream without an audience. I'm just kind of working by myself. And you know, I just finished saying, you know, a few minutes ago that like I don't want to always explain what it's going to be. I want to just show you. So I really need to cut the shit and really kind of get to the heart of what it is that I want to do. And I just got to put in time, put in work, you know, improve it. Every time I do one, go back to look at the last one and go like, what worked well, what didn't work well. You know, I'm going to have wins, I'm going to have losses. I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing this without an audience for a while. And the Facebook thing was kind of like, let's try this with an audience. I was feeling really like I needed to interact with people. And this is going to finally like loop back to like why I want to take some of our conversations public, is because like I only have so much time in a day, in a week, whatever. If I don't find ways to push some of my conversations into a public sphere, I have to make decisions like, do I have time to reply to this or not? Kim, you and I, you know, experienced something like that a while back. Like we had been going back and forth like daily, like doing our chats and stuff. And then I kind of just dropped off the face of the planet. And a big reason for that was because like I was doing the Kodagami thing. Like I was really, really trying to make progress with that. And it had gotten to this point where like I had to make decisions with my time. Like these things were competing, you know what I mean? Like competing resources, you know, the resource being my time. And I feel like that's the case for a lot. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to articulate words better, but like, I really need to find work. I really need to get this project going and building up momentum to the point where like I can, you know, get freelance clients and stuff like this. And I need to be regularly putting in some amount of time per week into these streams. And if I can find people that are willing to kind of like meet me in the middle and like, talk to me like in this like public space, I sometimes think about what I'm doing. I compare it to like a bar or something, you know. Um, and like, if you think of a bar, you might think of people getting drunk and maybe clubs and stuff like that. I'm thinking more of just like a small old man bar. That's what we used to call them, old man bars. But just kind of like the kind of place that like it wasn't crowded with people. Like it wasn't like crazy expensive drinks and like I don't know, just it wasn't just like full of people and ridiculous. It's just like the name says, like old men sitting there drinking and like they're all regulars and like there's some bartender who like knows them all, is chatting with them and stuff. An old man bar, you know what I mean? And I think the bar that I worked at when I was in Sheboygan, that place was an interesting place because like I think like some nights of the week it was really like busy and packed with people, but other nights and other like times of the day, that place was an old man bar. Like the few people would come in and be regulars and like they'd turn on whatever sports channel they wanted to watch and they'd shoot this shit and stuff like that. And people are coming in and shooting the shit with each other, and I guess I feel like you could be a bartender or you could be a patron of one of those old man bars, but like this could be just like a place where you come and like this is where you are for a certain amount of hours. And if your friends meet you there, then you see your friends that night. You know what I mean? It's like, they came into public and you're in public and now you see each other and you chit-chatting and talking and like, how are your kids and this and that. But like, you may not necessarily make a lot of time for reaching out to people individually, like phoning people up and going like, hey, Jill, how are you? Da 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 da. Because like you spend a certain amount of time in public, you know what I mean? And whoever it is you talk to, and if you don't, you don't. And I think some people use Facebook that way right now. You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna look at Facebook for a few hours, and whoever I interact with, and whoever I don't, I don't. And it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I think you can draw that connection between like a public space, like a bar, to like Facebook. I think another thing could be like, I don't know, like some events, that come around like 4th of July. There might be like a picnic or something like that, and you're walking on the picnic. But those things are so few and far between. Like I think people should have something in their life where they can do it on a daily basis if they want. You know what I mean? So yeah, like a old man bar, or they call it in the UK, they call it a pub, short for public house. That could be where you kind of put yourself out there socially, and you are there to chat. And if your friends come in there and chat with you, then you hang out with your friends. You know what I mean? Like you went to the public space, they went to the public space, you see each other, you know each other, you have a good time together. But it wasn't necessarily like a private gathering, So I'm trying to push more of my interactions into that kind of space, and it's hard to really articulate, especially because I think you say like it's like a bar, and the first thing people hear when they hear bar is alcohol and getting shit-faced. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make my stream about getting shit-faced, but hopefully I could articulate what I'm going for and why I'm trying to like push more my conversations into the public space, because it really is all coming down to, for me, I have limited time. I have limited time, and I have to make decisions about like how to use my time effectively, you know. So if I have to put up some obstacles or some limitations, I have to. It's not really what I want to do. I really wish I had all the time in the world to just like meet everybody where they are, you know, as far as like how they communicate and stuff. But I can't always do that. And frankly, if I'm being real honest, I also feel like when I don't meet people in the middle, like when I go the extra mile to meet them where they are, I don't feel like the communication goes both ways, because I don't feel like I can really effectively explain everything about who I am and what I've been doing and stuff like that. There are a lot of conversations I can have with a person where I can tell that they don't really understand me and what I'm about. And that's because they are so deep within their own sphere that when they talk to me, they don't really have to know anything about me. I don't know how to explain that any better than that. But what I'm just trying to say is like an added benefit for me socially is that if people are willing to come out and kind of meet me in some common ground, some territory, where there's more of me to observe, they can know me better. And really, this whole stream is about like people knowing me better, not just personally but professionally, the whole gamut. So, yeah. I said I hate to explain it instead of showing you, but that's what I've been doing for like an hour, has been explaining. So my apologies. Hopefully I can do more showing and less telling, hopefully. That could be right after do not read the comments. That could be like my second tagline: more showing, less telling. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. One quick PS. The Super Nintendo thing. Having us play like multiplayer poses a technical challenge. Maybe that's something we could explore, particularly if you or some other people are interested in writing some code. I can't even begin to estimate the difficulty. So it could be something we realistically do or something beyond us. I just don't even know that right now. What I can say is that right now it's not within my skill set. Or I don't know how to do it right now. Does that make sense? I don't know how to do it right now, how to make it share it. But I do really think I want to plug one more time for your Mario fix. Check out Carl Sagan. Dude definitely plays some Mario. I think you're gonna like it. Check him out on YouTube, Carl Sagan 42. So, all right, Kim, I'm out. Yeah, hit me with what you got. Bye. And we're still going. I'm gonna take a short break. I think I've earned one. Let's try to figure out how do we take a break? All right. Let's try this.
Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
And I want you guys to go ballistic. All right, all right.
Listen to me as I rock, yeah, I freak your ways. Listen to me as I rock, yeah, I freak your ways. Listen
What's up? I'm back, and all right, I just finished my audio reply to Kim, and I said one of the things I was going to do was try to, I would say, like do more like my core activities. So in my case, when I'm not talking about what the hell this stream is, I want to do some projects, some software projects. So what I have today is I have Yuri's schedule printed out, and I want to take this and I want to put it into a real life calendar. I think that calendar stuff was something that I was trying to get into in the very last stream that I did. The Facebook stream that went awry. When I lost the connection, I was in the middle of calendars and spreadsheets and stuff. So this is going to be kind of like a take two of doing that. I am going to I'm going to put things on pause once again for a few minutes. And when I come back to it, we're going to be sitting down with spreadsheets and calendars and get nerdy. So we'll be back shortly. What's up? I'm back, and we're gonna do some spreadsheet stuff. Spreadsheets and calendars. The objective is to take a calendar that's in this printed out spreadsheet format and put it into a usable calendar app. So when I say a usable calendar app, let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about here. So I'm just bringing over oh. Forgot I'm sharing my whole screen. No, I didn't forget that. It's just that previously my desks were kept separate. Like I've been saying, this is a learning process going forward. But yeah, here is my calendar. I have my work schedule and I have Yuri's work schedule. And I wanna feed in the February schedule, right? So this is the goal, right? You know what? I think I'm done for the time being. I'm done sharing off the live streaming software. So let's see if we can streamline. Starters. Don't want to hide. I want to. We're okay so far. Well, this is difficult because in the past when I've made a change in here, I end up interrupting my stream. feel like some of the stuff I'm gonna need to just do off stream. Like I'm gonna have to do some off stream management of my scenes. I'm gonna have to have 2 copies of the screen plus cam, maybe 2 copies of other stuff too. I don't know. I just don't know. Let's try this. We're gonna change how this works. I think what I want to do is I want to have what do I want to have? So I want to have the calendar. Let's just do this. Just forget everything I was talking about for a little while. Okay. And okay. So when I uploaded my last schedule, I simply had to make a simple file like this. And by uploading this format into Google Calendar, it knew how to make the schedule. It may not be easy to see in this format, but if I go and schedule like this. Now it's just a little bit more the same. So like if I go down to the 16th, let's see, 16, 18, 20, 21, 16, 18, 20, 21, you can see work at the lively, and it's the hours are matching. So it's pretty easy to see then in this way, like how the upload works. I think I can't scroll any further because I think this is where it ends. There's just no future stuff. But what we want to upload is another month's worth of Yuri stuff. So hers gets a little more complicated because you'll notice that mine is always 10 to 3, but her schedule changes quite a bit. So there is a way that I've been dealing with that. So let's start by looking at the last time we did one of these. We did January. And this is what January looks like. We're going to stretch this out a little more so we can actually see what we're working with. Makes it a little more easier to read, but this green indicates where we are right now. So right now, It's 11:23. We're in this block. This block is from 11 to 11:30. We're in this block right here. Today's the 25th. All this is my own design. I did all the formulas to make this work, which should really strike you, I guess, when you look at this, is just to see how irregular the schedule is. To see, I really should add it in here, but like, see, this is like the symbol, I guess we'll call it symbol. And this is the daily hours total. So many of these are 9, but not always. Sometimes they're 10 or 11. You can see the start times and end times are fairly irregular. There isn't really a pattern, except this. They had this kind of like staircase pattern, but usually there isn't a pattern to it. So without a regular pattern, a pattern is usually a way that you can kind of make things simple. But we have to make things simple in other ways. So for us, show how we can make this simple. So I'm really just kind of giving a demonstration here. All right, starting with the upper corner here. We're in February, so I changed this to FEB. And we should notice is the days of the week might change. Yeah, so that was previously saying Wednesday, now it's Saturday. If you look here, Wednesday, here it's Saturday. We can double check that against the calendar here. February 1st is a Saturday. Yep, so we're right there. Second, let's go in here and just clear all these values out. When we clear out C, then D is cleared out, and next this graph is cleared out. It's a little slow. We have some room for improvement in performance, but it's working, just working slowly. All right. The next thing is then to start to put some of these codes back in. But one problem is we can tell that if we start looking closely at this, there's a lot of boxes where they just have a written time range. It's written in instead of a code. It's like there's a C, but over here this is like a written time. So first let's put in the codes that exist, and then for the ones that don't have a code, let's look and see if we've created our own code previously, and if not, we just have to kind of punch it in and make a new code. Okay, so let's see, starting the 3rd is a C. And then we go down to the 6th is a C. 7th is an H. It's not until the 18th. What was that again? H. And then 20 is D, followed by H. 25th, we have D. And 27, 28 is H, H. All right. Again, it's a little bit slow. I'm not yet going to dive into how the formulas work, especially because some of these formulas are really big and gnarly to look at. So let's not spend too much time on formulas. But let's talk about some of the basic features of this. The way that the graphs we've been looking at, the way that they work, is based off of this table here. It's using references to look at these and look them up. So when I use a C or D or an H, it's looking at all these. Okay, so let's look at some of the things that we use a little more commonly. There is an 8:30 to 18. 18 is 6 o'clock. (8:30 to 6 o'clock). We have this one already. It's so Y, right? 18. Tell you what I'm going to do. Because I know that this thing is all using 24-hour clock, I'm just going to go ahead and format all of this using 24-hour clock. All right, now it's all matching. I don't have to do any more adjustments in my head. It's all just matching. Okay. One thing that I'm not pleased about is that these codes change from month to month. I just put in all these codes last month in January. And so in this case, I'm looking at this. N is, well, I guess I lied. They are accurate. I think I just couldn't read straight across. Right, forget what I said. In the past, I have seen this change. Like just in January, I had to change all these codes. I thought that I had to change it again, but no, I didn't find a change. So from January to February, the codes have stayed consistent. It is a little bit annoying to have to check those codes. So it really would be best when making these schedules if they can maintain the same codes. But thankfully this spreadsheet is organized such a way that if the codes change, I can change the spreadsheet. It's not a deal breaker. I think I want to just remove that. All right. So go back to our reference. We've previously added two new ones, X and Y. And so Y is 830 to 18. Got a bunch of those. It's going to be a little bit difficult to keep track of. So let's just do this one at a time. 830 to 18. How many of these do we have? That was Y, right? Let's do this a different way. Start at the top. W. 8 to 18. We have 1 on the 15th. And another on the 24th. Okay. Nine to 20. One on the 14th. Okay. 830 to 18. Eight. What? 8? My eyes are playing tricks. I swear to God, I thought the H was in there. 17. All right. We still got a bunch more of these. We've got a lot more alphabet to use, but I might have to make some more spaces here. All right, 9 to 1830. been streaming so long, my TV just gave up on me. Nine to 18:30. Unfortunately, I think I have just the one. It was 5. Is C. Okay. Okay. Let's do P, Q, R, S. Nine to 18:30. We just did that, right? See. 14 to 20. Have that. You already have it. That's an N. Which one is it? That's 10. $14, $20. Okay. One, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wonder why it hasn't calculated that. 6, 7, 8. 9 is off. 10, 11. 11 is 8 to 18. 18 is W. Missed a W. Was off. 13, 8 to 17:30. $14, $15, $16 off. 17, 18, 19. It is 8 to 14. It's Q. 21, 22, 23 off, 24. Eight to 18. Just set this one up right. 26 is 8 to 14. 8 to 14 is Q. All right, H. 29's off. All right. Some of these totals were a little slow to show up, but now they're in there. Let's look at what we've got in here. We got 10s, which are not part of the regular segment. 11, 9:30, 9:30, 9:30, and a 6 hour. As far as like the original one, these are the ones that originally show up on the printed schedule down at the bottom in the legend. All these other ones I've added, and it's these 6, right? So these 6 were written in without a code. And what we see in the ones above, the normal ones, are 9 o'clock for full day, and half day it's 5:30, 6 hours for part-time. We get down here to these extra ones. We have 10-hour, 11-hour day. We also have 9:30. We have another 6 hour. I'm trying to look for a pattern in this, or a way that we can make this coding go a little bit easier, because there's different ways to organize these. We could group these based on the duration time or by time start. In fact, let's try doing something like that. Okay. We're going to do a pivot table. New sheet. If we looked at just the duration, okay, we could see that this is really confusing. I wonder why these are separate. Why all these different 9s are separate, all these different 5s are separate. What's the reason for that? Because these should be together. K and L, N, Q, all of these. What's the reason for it? But that's one way we could look at it. We could group it this way. Or instead, if we sorted by the time start. Starting time. Okay, this is a little bit more organized. I wonder if we could even do sort by both. We're gonna have to do something. Do something about this. What's going on? It's 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've gotten rid of the ones that have zeros in there, just in case that's part of the problem. Here it's working okay with W's. There's still some rounding going on. First half hour one is a Y. Where are my Y's? I'm trying to 10 hours. Now here it's going 8:30 to 6 o'clock. So this shows up okay. This number, where's the rounding happening? If we look up 9 times 24. think this is just a formatting thing. I think the real value is in there. Let's try this. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Can we format this a little differently? Just gonna try this. Hmm. What the fuck? Well, we got it, friends, except I want to hide 0. I think that's where we got the problems. How did this get upvoted when it doesn't meet the requirements? All right, but this tells me something. So we got this. General. Yeah, like a boss. Like a boss. Okay. So we got our decimals. We got our whole numbers with no decimals. We got our blanks. This is exactly what I wanted. And this was kind of like the missing piece of the puzzle. These semicolons separate out the different formats: positive, negative, 0 text. So I guess it wasn't worthless. Partial answer indeed. All right, so so the question of why are these different? And it leads me to think that there's some kind of math going on. So I think I want to replace these values as they are. Well, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's copy this. Let's paste values only. Well, shit, let's use my new format. I think this is where the performance issues are really coming to a head, because oh, everything's getting rounded down. Okay. equals okay. We multiply by 48 because it's 24 times 2. Okay. All of these decimals are a fraction of a whole day. A whole day is 24 hours. So 1 equals 24 hours, or 10 equals 10 24ths. 10 24ths. 6 is a good 6 is a good demonstration of that, because 24 divided by 4 is 6. A 24-hour day divided into 4 pieces is 6-hour pieces, and 0.25 is 1/4. So you can see that. If we were to multiply 0.25 times 24, we get 6. Or another way of saying that is 24 divided into fourths is 6. Okay, so we would multiply the whole thing by 24. Although we want halves, we don't want just whole hours, we want half hours as well. We want to round to the nearest half hour. So that means instead of by 24, but 48. 48 is double of 24. So it's going to round to the nearest half hour. And then to go back from 48 to 24, we divide by 2. That's kind of how that works. Okay, so the formula works, but now we want to get it over here in duration. So what we just got to do is just kind of take this formula and just kind of wrap it around what's in here right now. So in this case, F2 takes the place of this formula right here. So round this value times 48 divided by 2. So we want to do, just going to do this manually, right? Throw some parentheses around here, times 48. And divide that by 2. Okay. And I think what we could do is to apply the new format. This. Okay. Copy. Paste. But you know what? This is gonna break all of this, isn't it? Okay, it hasn't broken this, thankfully, because this is only looking at columns 2 and 3, but these have been broken. But this is easy enough to fix. So we just take out the 24 part. 9.5 hour day today. Okay. There it is. All right. Now, just when we're feeling like everything's great in the world, everything's wonderful and done and fixed, and we've figured it all out, and we're really smart and handsome and all that other good stuff. Remember that we need to get it into a format that the Google Calendar can work with. So this is what the format looks like for last month. Okay. We need to replicate this. Now, this was a process that I had to do. And, I can't remember what the process was, but what I can tell you is it was manual, and I'm looking to streamline it. So let's look at ways that we could do this. Okay. I think I'm just going to straight up add a sheet. Instead of duplicating anything, just start fresh. Support. All right. And we want start times and end times. I don't need that. I think it's still working on calculating that. Let's just didn't even copy it. There we go. Now let's look at lookup. Will that work? Nope. Shit. Works for numbers, not for dates and times. So all right, so we have a start time, we have an end time. Now what we want to do is just copy. Oh, copy. Paste values only. So we're going to sort first by whether it's blank or not, and then we're going to sort by the start date. Can we try that again? All right. All of our formulas are gone, which means that none of this stuff matters anymore, which means that I'm effectively just gonna delete it out. All of our days where we don't work, I'm gonna delete them out. And this whole column blank, I'm gonna delete it out. All this stuff, I'm gonna shift it over. Okay, the only thing left is subject. Is that single space? Okay. Nope. Yeah. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, heck yeah. I'm liking that. I'm also switching over from using this one to this one. There were some problems and I don't understand why. So let's import that too. We import the same data, we just import it to a different calendar. So that was the Yuri schedule version 2. If I show this, show them both, looks like they're matching up. There had been some changes, but I think they're past changes. Like here's one. Yeah, so far they're syncing up. So I'm going to hide the old one. I got just the new one. And when I get my calendar from work, I can add it in there. My last import, I had the name differently, but going forward, they'll be matching work at the Lively or work at Sakura. All right, and everything I just did, what I ultimately want to try to do is get the workflow down so it's as easy as some of the other stuff we saw before. These things were being calculated quite naturally, these values, and these were calculated naturally for me. The only thing I really had to put in here were these values, and there was really no rhyme or reason to them. Because there was no rhyme or reason to it, I had to do it in a manual format. But some of the parts that are like repetitive or have some pattern, I'd like to use some formulas for that. So I got to look at how I could do this. For instance, this is going to be real simple to put in the work value. I think it's going to be hard is to filter out just the dates that aren't blank. I'm gonna have to look at query functions worth looking at too. I think there's like a yeah, there's no right type, and I think that filter might be one. What are the web ones? Didn't know about this encode URL. I ended up writing this once. Should go back and look at how I did that. So we start with examples. So show me examples. Show me the syntax. Then here we go. Condition 1, condition 2. Why is that an array? First column, row range. Okay. So let's try this out. I'm going to look at this range right here. or this range. Let's do it like this. Filter. Condition 1 is going to be A2 is greater than 0. Filter has mismatch range size, expected row count 31. Oh, I see. Should be Feb. No, I still don't know what's wrong. Okay. There we have it. So the filter function can do this hard work of getting it down. It's not even that it's hard, it's manual, right? Manual applying a filter to it. But now we can get this down to just the dates we want. And then everything else is formatting and VLOOKUP from there. I think what we would want to do is make this stuff basically like an extra part of this sheet. It could be down below, but more likely I think it should be kind of like off to the right. And then I think I'd want to use like a macro, I think, or a script, but I could try the macro to create the export sheet. I'm going to leave this in here for now just so I can refer back to it later. And I think the next time I sit down at this, I think that's what I want to do. I want to definitely streamline this spreadsheet in some ways. But one thing I think would be to kind of move these columns into here, into the month. So it becomes part of the whole, the formula that once I add all these in, then not only does it make this graphical calendar, but then it also will add those columns that look like this, and they'll be filtered down. And then at that point, I would want to make a macro that's going to build this sheet, like add an extra sheet and build it out based on these values from this one over here. I could probably even find a way to make the name be based off of the sheet that I'm on. So get the name of the current sheet. The new one is going to be that -export. And then, you know, using these values. Earlier we didn't talk about it, but I showed how I could just take the previous date, put in there. We're gonna have to find a formula for that. I was putting in just January 31st, but I'm sure there's a way down here that I can just, the past total. So that's what this is. So a lot of the stuff has been figured out already. A lot of the heavy lifting has been done. So yeah, then I think it's just gonna be a formatting question. So I think with that, I'm gonna wrap it up for today. It's going on 1 o'clock. I got other things I want to do today. This is definitely the kind of stuff that I want to be filling this time up with. There's a lot more things on my plate, a lot of things I want to get into. If I can do this on a more regular basis, not just once a week or less, I can really start digging into more stuff, especially if I can do this for more hours in a day. But I'm going to have to build up to that point. So anyway, for today, I think this is good. I didn't get to cover a whole lot of things, particularly as it pertains to like code and software. But I did get to set a good base, particularly as it relates to this channel and the things I want to do. I feel like I still got to check a lot of things off, and I got to get in depth in things instead of just going only surface level with too many things. So so that's a good stopping point for me today. Let's wrap it up, and I'm gonna do something that I've been meaning to do for a while, which is like do an outro screen. If I just kill the stream prematurely, I end up losing like the last 30 seconds to a minute of stream. So getting smart, I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm gonna sign off with my closing card. So all right, thanks.